Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Saturday. It's Daryl here. It's bright and freaking early, 4 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. This is going to be a tough video to get through, but I feel like I have to talk about this. It's bothering me greatly. Okay, I came across a article called somewhat, I'm going to paraphrase here, but Mississippi Republican advocates firing squad death sentence for trans people and their supporters. Wow. Okay, so I read a little more of this, and this Mississippi Republican, his name is Robert Foster. He is a House representative, or was a House representative from 2016 to 2020. He was a failed governor, he failed a gubernatorial race. And I think he's still seeking office. So he put out this tweet. I'm gonna read the tweet to you guys. Some of y'all want to try and find political compromise with those who want to groom our school-age children and pretend men are women. I think they need to be lined up against a wall before a firing squad and sent to an early judgment. And then he was contacted by a Mississippi newspaper, and he doubled down, saying that I'm going to paraphrase on this one. Same thing about people who want to. He used the word groom again, and people who want to put men in women's locker rooms and bathrooms should be put in front of a firing squad. So he's two different statements. One in a tweet, and then to a newspaper. Now, obviously, I'm not going to talk about what you think I'm going to talk about, the firing squad part of this. I'm going to talk about what he did here. I think the word is conflate, traded. He used this word groom, and there's probably a lot of people across the country in Mississippi that won't catch on to this. He misused this word groom. I assume he's talking about psychologists. I don't know much, if anything, about what a transgender person goes through. I'm sure correctly that they see a psychologist, they see doctors, and the like, medical professionals, mental health and medical professionals. And it's taken from there. Now, he uses this word groom. He misuses it. Now, this is the word groom is what I want to talk about, because I know what grooming is, and he is misusing this word groom here. Let me tell you a story. My father died when I was 9 years old from terminal brain cancer. I watched him die. It got to the point where he didn't even know my own name. In 6 months, he was gone. My mother eventually started dating again. She ended up dating a policeman from here in Connecticut. He was a current policeman. We lived out in the park. My father was a park warden, a game warden. And we lived way out in the woods, and this cop would come by, well, supposedly. Now I realize he had other intentions. But he'd come by to check on, the widow and her kids. My mother and us, me and my sister. I have a younger sister, 6 years younger than me. Now, when my mom started dating again, I was probably about 11 years old, about 2 or 3 years after my father died. I didn't like this guy right from the very beginning. I had a gut instinct. I did not want to be alone with this guy. He seemed, manly. I remember him saying to me, when I was 13, I believe I was 13 years old, I was working on my bicycle, 10-speed, and I had a particular hard problem with the back axle. I was used to fixing my bike, but I couldn't get it straight. It was rubbing. And I remember him saying to me that, well, you lost your dad, but you know what? I'll be there for you. You want a guy to help you out, I'll be there. I remember him saying that to me. I never trusted him. My mother would run to the store. This was years. This was 2, 3. My father died when I was 9. She started dating when I was about 11. So it was about when I was about 12 years old, my mother would run to the store. She had been dating for about a year. I couldn't tell, she knew I didn't like him, but she thought it was because he was a replacement for my father. But I didn't trust this guy. I didn't want to be alone with him. And I worried about me and my sister. I remember specifically when I was 14 years old. 13 years old, he'd ask me about girls. Relationships. I remember I had a crush on this one girl, and he told me, no, she was very pretty attractive, but he said, no, you should go for this other girl. This girl lived across the street. Now this other girl was kind of chubby and overweight and quiet, and he said, she has lower self-esteem. You'll get further with her. Swear to God, that was his advice to me. I remember. And this feeling, I never liked this guy. I had to deal with him. I remember he started giving me Playboys and penthouses, sneaking to me, pretending like he was sneaking them to me on the side. Just man to man, Again, I was a 12-year-old, 13-year-old boy. So, I'd take him and be gone. I still remember Suzanne Summers. I believe she was going to be in Playboy in 1980. This was probably in 1979. I was about 13 years old. And he was going to, he talked to me when my mother was around. Hey, I'll get you that magazine. I think he did get it for me. When I turned 14, things got a little, that's when we moved to another house in another town. And I've talked about that in other videos. I did a lot of biking, and I grew about a foot taller. I grew a lot of muscle. I lost a lot of weight. My whole life turned around socially. This had nothing to do with my home life, but I got a lot more confidence in myself. And I hadn't had relations yet. I was still a virgin. I remember him asking me if he wanted me to put something together for me. If he wanted me to get him a woman. Now, he was dating my mother. And he asked me, this was on a New Year's Eve, he said he would bring a woman over so that I could lose my cherry. I'm going to stop right there with that story. I'll tell you more about that story in the future because I can't tell you this, the rest of it on YouTube. Eventually, he tried to grab my crotch. I still remember his words. He said, "Hey, Daryl, how's the stem of your stinger?" And he reached down and he grabbed me. I was shocked. Even though I knew what I had this inside feeling. I had never dealt with this before, but I had a gut feeling. I eventually swung at this guy with a baseball bat. I was threatening with it in my bedroom. He was coming after. This was right after that incident, and he laughed at me. And then he started coming towards me, and I swung the bat, and it took a big chunk of the ceiling out. The ceiling was those those tiles, like cardboard tiles. Not cardboard, but like styrofoam. And it took a huge, as I swung at him, it took a huge swipe of the ceiling out, and it hit him. It shocked him. And that was the end of it. The weird thing, though, is I had to make up an excuse. My mother saw that, he backed off, he went away. My mother came home later, saw the piece of the ceiling missing, and I made up a lie. I said I found a pair of nunchucks when we moved into that new house, and I made up this lie that I was practicing nunchucks, and I took out a piece of the ceiling because I couldn't tell her, that her boyfriend was trying to grab my crotch. How's the stem of your stinger, Daryl? I'll never forget those words. And this had been building for 4 years, since I was about 11 years old. And that's where it culminated, climaxed. So that's called grooming. I was groomed there. I know what grooming is. A kid going to see a psychologist. I don't know a lot about trans people. I don't know. I don't know the stipulations they go through to go through all this, but I can guarantee you, I can bet my life and everything I own and everything I know, that is not what I went through. The grooming that I went through. Going to see a psychologist, a doctor, getting hormone replacement, puberty blockers, or whatever they go through. It is not what I went through. I went through grooming. So when he uses this word, he's making this whole thing seem like something it isn't. And then there's the whole matter of this good Christian man calling for the execution of doctors and counselors that are trying to help kids. The family party, Republicans. I'll tell you more about this story. My heart's pounding. You guys have a good Saturday.